What's up? This is MC Lars. You are listening to Journey into Comics. You!
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Journey into Comics, a podcast about comic books, video games, movies, television, and everything nerd with your hosts, Nate Phillips and Brandon Stowe.
You're gonna see some serious shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Journey into Comics. I think it's episode 115, maybe. I'm not sure. Today, as always, I'm Nate. Joining me, my co-host, as always, the badass himself, Brando. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, it's really bizarre. I'm sitting here thinking about, like, every episode of Journey into Comics we've ever done. And it seems like, for whatever reason, we also do, like, the weather report brought to you by Journey into Comics. So I just want to say, it's fucking cold outside now, Brando. It was not cold, and then now it is, and it sucks. And I fuck winter.
It's finally here. I mean, I wore shorts the past couple days.
Yeah, I mean, I was wearing shorts today, man, and I was like, oh, it's 70. It's awesome weather. Had a thermal shirt on because, that's my style or whatever. And I was like, I drove down south to visit Dad, and I got here, and I was like, oh, it's still really nice out here, too. And then it rained, and I was like, oh, it's going to feel so good to open the windows. And I walked outside, and I went, oh, my God, it's like winter, legitimately. If it would have been this cold an hour ago, we would have had snow.
Yeah.
That's a real thing, too, by the way. I'm supposed to have that S word, like, tomorrow in my life.
Well,
Oh my God, here's a new sound for the podcast. Wow, if you guys could hear that, Brando, I'm so sorry you heard that. That was my dad's dog drinking water, as loud as fuck. Like, I didn't realize it was really obnoxious, and then I was like, wow, that's so loud right now. We need to stop that. So she's just laying down, but go ahead.
I just want to note that, I don't always check our episodes, but this is episode 115.
Oh, cool.
And we are at exactly 6,800 downloads right now.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Ding, 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 ding.
That's a lot of people that have downloaded our show.
Yeah.
And I think that we appeal to the introverts because none of them contact us. You know what I'm saying? Like, they love hearing our shit, but they do not want to say, hey, what's up?
Well, we did have one guy there for a while that was all about trying to contact us, but really in awkward moments.
Yeah.
Do you remember that guy?
Yeah. I don't actually know if Martin still listens to this podcast.
I don't know either.
But here's some interesting thing. Like, I'm actually kind of good friends with him now. He kind of stopped asking a lot of questions about our show and stuff, and then it became more like, hey, we're just talking about Pokemon Go all the time. And he lives in Europe, so he has fucking Mr. Mime, and I don't. And I'm like, dude, I have 4 Tauroses here for you to pick when it's time to start trading. Get me a good Mr. Mime. Like, that's the deal. So hopefully he keeps up his end of the bargain.
Well, I thought it was really cool that we had somebody over there listening, and I remember the time difference is a bit weird because when he's up and want to interact and everything, it's over here it's 11 o'clock midnight, something like that. And then I remember we had to take my son to the emergency room, and my phone was just blowing up. I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, oh yeah, hi Martin.
What's up, bud? It's really not the coolest time, but
yeah.
Those British people are so polite, and they got to look at this country now. I don't even want to go there. But anyways, dude, we've not done a solid episode of Journey into Comics in a hot minute. I know that. Let me ask you this first because I wanted to ask this. Are you playing any games right now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what are you playing?
Oh, okay. This is now suddenly become the game addicts.
It's not game addicts. I'm just catching up.
Oh, okay. You just threw me off there. I mean, that's our shtick for game addicts. First thing we talk about, what you been playing. I've been messing around with the WWE 2K17.
Still great. That's cool. You enjoy it, obviously.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
man.
then I am working on beating The Last of Us for the second time.
The PS4 remastered.
Yes, that one does come with the Left Behind DLC, which I've never got around to playing.
Oh.
And I beat the game on PS3, and then when I got remastered, I got to Winter. And for those people who know the game, they know like how far that is. I'd say probably about 3/4 of the way done. And then I just quit playing it, started playing something else, and I just had the itch. It's kind of fall. I'm like, I want a kind of a zombie apocalyptic type thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to beat The Last of Us. I'm going to storm through this, and I want to beat it again for the second time and play The Left Behind. And I just started it, been slowly making my way through that. And I think that's a good game to try and beat right now because I can switch off to WWE for a couple days, and then I can come back. Because I've already beaten the game, so I can go back to Last of Us, play that for a little bit.
Yeah, you're not in one of those situations where you're dying to play the game because you got to know how it ends. You know the ending, like you're there. Except for, of course, you actually don't know how the DLC goes. I mean,
DLC, yeah, no, I don't know the DLC, and it's set before the main story.
Super interesting. So yeah, I've been messing with mostly retro stuff, man. Playing a lot of original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again, just becoming a fiend for that game. I can easily defeat the water level now. It used to be like this, when you're a kid, man, the water level's impossible in Turtles. It sucks. You got that stupid seaweed that's electric for whatever reason. They don't ever explain why that's electric seaweed that takes you out, but it does. And now I can just breeze through it, and that's cool. I've also been playing a lot of not video games, but deck building games. I played DC Deck Builder last night. Have you've played that?
Yeah,
dude, that game is so much fun. If you're seriously a comic book nerd who likes to game and you like the DC, even if you don't like DC, it's a great place to start to kind of learn about the universe, I think. But Anthony was over last night, and I was like, man, have you ever played this? He was like, no. And he's like, I don't know if I really want to get down on that game. And I was like, we should just try it, man. I think you'll like it. And we played it, and he was so impressed with how the game went. He's like, can we just play that a second time right away? So we played another round, and it was a lot of fun. So that's kind of what I've been doing now. Have you been reading any comics other than the one we're obviously going to talk about?
No.
Yeah, me neither. It's really weird. I was on board for I know it goes against the JIC name, and that sounds blasphemous, but listen, there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much time to do things, and musically speaking, I'm spending a lot of my time doing music-based stuff, and that takes up a lot more time than I would naturally like to admit, but to be really good, you got to do it that way, so that's what I've been doing. But when I do read, man, it's obviously The Walking Dead. Sometimes I get down on some of the DC stuff, but I've totally abandoned Marvel. I'm pretty frustrated. They just maybe they've been writing better stuff since I stopped reading, but when I stopped reading, I was just like, this is all convoluted, and you're just trying to make Secret Wars 2 some sort of epic event where you make everybody buy somewhere I want to say they had 200 crossover titles. Come on now. I don't have time to read all that. And I'm the kind of guy who compulsively, if I want to get into a story, I want to see it from every angle, And I digress about that. But let's talk about The Walking Dead 160, Brando. We are just past halfway in the Whisperer Wars. I just want to start by give me the first, after reading 160, what was the first word that popped into your head? Or maybe the first phrase.
It's gonna be hot.
It's gonna be hot. That's a great one. Oh shit. Mine was kind of well, they're fucked. Man, Kirkman just, no pun intended, turned up the heat. Oh, he really. Okay, so we can unpack this. So we're on the other side of Lucille being broken, and that was a crazy thing. And the 160 is a lot of the hilltop, and Brando thinks are bad.
Yes, indeed. It's the Whisperers strike back. Essentially, they've sort of decided to kind of divide and conquer. With that force that met with Dwight and company,
And they did such a great job corralling, by the way.
Yeah.
And navigating that. But continue.
But they're over there. But meanwhile, we think that the Whisperers are all there. They're leading that. But apparently, there's another entire group on the other side over there by the hilltop, and they literally make it rain.
They did, in fact, make it rain, and they kind of went with an objective. They didn't just go to get revenge. They actually are there to collect Lydia.
Yeah.
And she's not really cool with that. Carl's not going to be really cool with that.
Well, Carl just got his heart broke by her too. I mean, that was kind of that was such a sudden end.
Yeah.
That what I thought was a romance subplot, and it was like, actually, you know what? I don't actually have feelings for you.
Well,
even though I just took your virginity.
I think that's going to come out as her not wanting to get hurt in this world, and she really does care for Carl quite a bit. However, she knows that Carl is slowly becoming a leader in his own right. He's slowly becoming very much like his father. And in all these transitions, he's going to put himself at risk more and more. And not like Carl hasn't been at risk before. He's been at risk tons and tons of times. But, being in control of those risks is a dangerous thing. And Lydia doesn't want to get hurt and lose him. And she thinks if she cuts it off now, she spares them both from either one of them losing each other. I mean, think about, Maggie and Glenn, to be topical on the show, So this episode, or this issue of The Walking Dead was just it seemed like they're like, okay, well, we're fucking around with these Whisperers and we're corralling this herd. And I was like, oh man, these guys have a really solid plan. This is going to work out great. And then they just turned it up 180 and struck a match and set the hilltop completely, spoiler alert, on fire. Brando, they're fucked, man. I don't see a scenario where the opening of 161 is just like, well, the hilltop survived, everyone's okay, nothing happened. There are going to be massive, terrifying consequences, I feel, from this.
There could be. I'm not necessarily feeling that much of a dire thing to this. I definitely think they're going to lose ground at the hilltop. They might even have to go to Alexandria.
Damn.
And it's very plausible. I mean, as far as character deaths, I'm not sure if that's going to be amped up. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes in The Walking Dead, because sometimes you're like, man, is this too telegraphed? Is this going to, sometimes you think, wow, everyone, there's going to be so many people dead, and then nobody dies. And then when you think that,
it's a lull in the story.
Yeah, then they kill 4 characters.
Hashtag Ezekiel. Yeah. I was just thinking that, man, son of a bitch, that was intense. And we'll have to get into Ezekiel here in a minute, too, and unpack that a little bit. But before we do that, I just want to talk about the comic a little bit more. A couple things here. One, my opinion is if you're going to do a death in the Whisperer War, a major character death for the, call it good guys, the side of Alexandria and that team, then I think you do it in this upcoming issue of The Walking Dead in 161. And then that way 162 is the picking up the pieces from whatever happens.
Yeah.
So, now that being said, do we want to make maybe like a Deadpool prediction here and see if we can put a couple names up on the board that we think could be taken out before the Whisperer War is done. I mean, Kirkman himself said, not everybody's going to survive and not everybody's going to come through this the same they went in, So did you have any thoughts? Like anybody you think could be on the chopping block for The Walking Dead?
Yeah. How messed up would it be to just not kill Maggie at this point, but still keep messing with her character?
Oh, like taking out Herschel?
Yeah.
Oh man, I really hope that doesn't happen because then The Walking Dead loses a reader, and that will break my heart. So not me, but Veronica will stop reading. That's just the one thing she doesn't really get down on. So.
Oh, it's child death?
Yeah.
So I take it she didn't take Judith. Judith's
No. She asked me if something like that was coming, and I told her what episode or what issue not to read, filled her in on kind of what happened, and then avoided the gory details. So, there's that. But it'll probably happen the same way if that were to be the case. Anybody else you want to throw on the chopping block other than a tiny, small child who can't defend themselves?
Well, I mean, because there's always Sophia as well. It could be either one. I don't think it'll be both. I think there's a chance that Sophia saves Herschel in that, though, and gets out.
I think that's the likely scenario.
If that is the case, who's that? Who's the character that is like has a thing for Maggie? I can't.
Dante.
Dante.
And he's in my Deadpool. I think Dante's on the chopping block. They've built him to this like, Maggie, why won't you love me? Like, when the fuck are you gonna move on? Like, I know you loved Glenn, but there's nothing you can do. Like, he's never coming back. Why would you live the rest of your life miserable? I think he's been built up to be like this. Like, he really cares for her, and he has put himself out there. And how fucked up would it be if he dies, and then it really messes with her character? Because then she goes back to, man, that guy liked me, and I didn't even give it a chance, and maybe Glenn would have wanted that, and then it changes her character again, and it's a whole next level evolution. I also think that Maggie is on the chopping block.
That'd be weird and interesting.
But my reason for Maggie being on the chopping block is kind of a big picture thing. Because to me, if you kill Maggie, and I hate to even say that, but if you were to kill Maggie, okay, and it is so, that sets up Carl to take on a leadership role of the Hilltop or whatever remains of the Hilltop. Now, I know he's still kind of younger, but he's becoming more and more a leader as this all goes on. He's getting more and more responsibilities. It's more and more that you see him out doing everything by himself. When's the last time him and Rick have interacted even? It's been a minute, So I think this is the time where if you're going to transition and give Carl something like that maybe this is the time. And maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, because Robert Kirkman always pulls out all kinds of amazing surprises that you're just like, what? I could have never saw that coming. How could I? Back to, Walking Dead 144, Ezekiel. So yeah, on the Deadpool, that's my pick. You said Herschel. Are you set on Dante? Was there another one you had?
The kids and Dante were the first ones. I wasn't going to put Maggie on there because I don't feel like that's like good to go yet. But then I think we also might be like, we're just assuming it definitely could be a big character at the Hilltop, and that it won't be someone like over at Alexandria, and we still don't know exactly. At the end game, if the kingdom is going to play into it or not.
And the Saviors.
Yeah.
Because they all kind of have... It's really weird when you talk about that, too, because the kingdom has a leader who wants to help and is getting grief for wanting to help. And then the Saviors, they don't fucking want to help. They're just like, no. But then they're kind of like, okay, maybe we need to help you. And I think that it's kind of set up. It's going to be interesting where the Whisperer War ends up, because this is, again, very much like All Out War. These communities can help each other out and get out of this bind, or they can crumble. And maybe one of these communities crumbles. Maybe it's the Hilltop that goes. Maybe you're right and it's not. Maybe the Hilltop getting attacked is a diversion for something bigger. Maybe it's the Kingdom. You never know.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to it. I know we're like only a couple weeks away from 161. And then another question about the book. Do you think that they're going to do like Lucille 2? Like that Negan will just like make another one but it'll be different? Or do you think that's kind of like his quote unquote face turn, and that's not his weapon anymore because he's not a bad guy?
Maybe that's it, because Lucille was a sentimental figure to him. I've heard that, like, basically that he, like, it was named after his wife who died, right?
I actually don't know that because I have not been reading the Image Plus that's got the Here's Negan story. Like, I haven't read any of that yet, so I don't know. And I'm actually just patiently waiting on them to do the Negan special, because they did a Michonne special where they did like a little mixture of her origin story plus her introduction into the book again, like kind of told from a different perspective. They did the same thing with the Governator. So I know Kirkman said, like, don't worry if you don't get Image Plus, like, we're still going to eventually do a Negan thing, but you're going to have to wait. Well, I'm one of the ones that's right now, I have to fucking wait. So,
Well, I haven't been reading that Plus either, but I heard Jeffrey Dean Morgan say that either in an interview or something. So like that's his attachment to Lucille, and why it's such a it's another limb, if you will. It does have personal attachment, and that's why in the comic, when it broke, there's a part of him that broke with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's been like kind of what I think with the Lucille, is that like maybe Negan wasn't a tough guy the whole time. Then maybe that was like he really loved her, and then that kind of set him over the edge. And then he knew he had to defend himself in this new crazy fucked up world. He creates Lucille, and then it kind of got out of hand, and it became a part of him, like you said. And it was something he was holding on to. And I think that it, like I said, it's going to symbolize the end of that era of Negan. Because now he's seen, the quote unquote savior Rick Grimes, and kind of believed in him, really believed in him, so much so that he was like, all right, cool, Dwight's going to fucking guard me and I can't have any weapons. I'm okay with that because you trust me that much, I think that's a huge testament. I think that, Negan, and I've said this throughout when we've been reading these, like, Negan really wanted to prove to Rick, like, I'm not a fucking bad guy. Like, I was doing what I had to do to survive, but look at it from my perspective. You guys weren't the good guys either. Like, it came to a fucking head, man, and shit got carried away, And I think that that's kind of the Negan I think we're going to see on the other side of. Now, I'll be goddamned. It would literally shock me, and I don't want to say this, but if they killed Negan, dude, it'd be, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I just think there's so much good story left to be told with that character,
I do too. I agree, but I also think that at some point during the remainder of the rest of the half of this book, if this book does go the distance with the magic 300 number that Kirkman wants to hit, we're gonna see Negan's death at some point, and they're gonna make that a big deal.
Yeah, it'll be like 243 or something. I'm
gonna laugh if you're like within a few issues of that.
Oh man, I would lose my cool. Like, do you guys remember when I said that? No fucking way. I guess Kirkman was listening to our podcast, or something. Secretly. What's up, Robert Kirkman? Yeah, Brando. So speaking on Negan some more, he's in the show now.
Yeah.
Here's some things I've noticed. Less people are watching the show now. People really did not like his first appearance officially, like his full, like issue 100, if you will. The death of Glenn and now Abraham too. What do you think, man? Did they just go too violent and it's people couldn't handle it, or what?
It's also season 7.
Yeah, but dude, like at this point, there's not a person I know that I interact with that doesn't watch The Walking Dead, you know? And now, I mean, up and until like everybody watched the first episode of this season, and then after that, I can't get anybody to talk with me about it. Like like I said, I told you off air, I'm like an episode off, I'm pretty sure. And you know, to talk about episode 2 real quick, because we didn't get to touch on that, and that's one like that really stuck with me. Man, they really have a charming Ezekiel.
Yes.
God, he plays a great Ezekiel. And I was smiling and giggling in that episode. How weird, you know? Like how full 180 from that first episode.
I tend to remember and think back to when you were here for the season 6 finale.
Yeah.
And it was late, very late, by the time we got to the Negan scene. And everybody in that room was glued to that television in suspense and like not knowing exactly how this is going to go down. And me and you were just smiling the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were seeing Negan come to life on the big screen.
And done well.
Screen. Yes. And continued to be done well. Even to now. You know, and for Ezekiel's another, he's like the next big charismatic character that we encounter. And, you know, like my wife, she was like, I like his voice. Like it's different. And then later on when he just completely dropped it, she's like, his voice changed. I'm like, uh-huh.
Yes, it did.
And it's interesting that Carol sort of has taken the Michonne role.
I was thinking that too.
Seeing as how Michonne has taken the Andrea role.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift how they did that there, and it works. It works for their TV because Carol isn't even alive in the comics, you know?
Yeah, although I'm very interested to seeing where they eventually go with Carol because she seems to be losing it a little bit. Similar in a way to how she lost it in the comic.
Is she seeing dead people?
Well, no, she's seeing alive people.
Well, yeah, but like dead people, not walkers, like people. Like
yeah,
she's seeing them before it happened in some weird, bizarre, like mind fuck.
Well, because I think what's messing with her is that, you know, she kind of turned into this monster. And I think she got desensitized by killing walkers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just as such as we are desensitized to the violence against the walkers because they're no longer people, they're monsters.
Yeah, they're just walking flesh bags.
Yeah, and that's what gives the death of Abraham and Glenn something to hit home about because it was so graphic and it was human against human violence. Even when Rick's group went in and murdered those people, you know, the members of the Saviors, it wasn't that graphic.
I agree.
It was still in like kind of like a Hollywood action film kind of way. But then when Negan kills those two, it's very just brunt. It's almost like a snuff film, you know?
Yeah, kind of.
And so it's awkward. It's uncomfortable, and that's what it's supposed to be because you're supposed to be in that scene. If I can be frank, I think the show kind of got the intensity of that scene a little bit more than what the comic did.
Yeah.
You know, it does the same thing, but it portrays it a little differently. It can take more time with it. You know, that's not to say that the comic, I mean, come on, it's the source material. And almost all the stuff they've had with Negan, other than the Daryl stuff, it's been almost word for word at times.
Yeah, and obviously you can't have it with the Daryl stuff because he's not in the comics.
Yeah, and like what's going on with Carol, I'm thinking she got so desensitized by killing the walkers that, you know, when she started to kind of break their last season, now she doesn't want to kill people anymore.
No.
And now she's seeing the walkers as people, so she's not going to want to kill them either, maybe.
Well, and then when does she... Oh, man, you know what's really weird about that to think? What if, and I know this is maybe like a super stretch, what if they don't full-blown go the Michonne role with Ezekiel, you know? Like, maybe it's Sasha eventually or something. What if Carol gets banished or she, like, does get away from everybody and then maybe becomes Alpha?
Ouch.
Right?
Well, I mean, she would totally have to strip away everything that she is.
But, I mean, she's going crazy and losing herself right now. To say that she would go completely off the deep end isn't really that terribly far of a stretch. I mean, look at the daisies is all I'm saying. Or look at the flowers or whatever the fuck she was saying to that little kid. Think about that, man. She's done gruesome, fucking unrelenting, awful, heinous shit. She's burned people alive who were not necessarily gonna do anything bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Carol's not been a good person. And so to see her go completely off the quote-unquote rails and become Alpha, to me doesn't seem like a stretch, but then the only thing you don't have there to make sense is Lydia. That's the only part that doesn't really add up for me. I don't know. You know, Kirkman and that team, they are, you know, they're pros for doing, you know, it's really weird. Everybody was going, what one character is going to die in the season premiere? And then they complete swerve you and say, okay, we won't kill one, we'll kill two. And that's the thing you wouldn't expect them to do. So, you know, man, I really dig this show. And I can't wait to be fully caught up. I have not seen the 90-minute special. Brando, what was that like?
If I could be frank, I don't think it really needed to be 90 minutes. They told a good story, and it was pretty much that story in the comics where Negan shows up for the first time at Alexandria. With a few differences scattered throughout. It is pretty much that story, and at times word for word. Awesome. With how that kind of how that laid out, you know. I'm pretty sure my favorite line of that episode comes from Negan, and it's at the very end of the episode, and I actually don't mind spoiling this for you at all, because it's a great line, and you'll enjoy it even when you get to it. Rick thanks Negan for basically coming in and taking their crap, right?
Okay, so he's like, hey, thanks, man.
Well, Negan prompts him to thank him, you know. You know, throughout, there's another part in the episode where, like, you know, Rick's like, what do you want me to say? And Negan's like, how about a thank you? Maybe that'd be nice, you know? I'm not taking your food. Whatever. And then later on, Rick says, thank you. And Negan says, you see what just happened here? I just shoved my dick down your throat and you thanked me for it.
Damn.
I love the mind games that Negan was playing with Rick throughout the episode, making him hold Lucille the whole time. I think that kind of messed with Rick a little bit. There was a cool little thing. I'm not sure if people caught it, but while they were loading stuff into a truck, there was a cooler.
Okay.
And there was a can in there, and Negan picked it up and cracked it open. It was the Orange Crush.
Oh, from Denise?
Yeah.
Shit.
And he took one swig of it, and like, you know, that feeling of, you know?
Yeah.
And then he just throws it to the ground.
Man, so do they touch? They don't touch on what's going on with Daryl. Then the group has no idea.
Daryl's there.
With him.
Negan brought him and makes him help take their shit.
He's pretty beat though, so Rick's got to see that, right?
Yeah. Rick tries talking to him, and then Negan says, "You don't look at him, you don't talk to him.
Fuck, man.
You don't do that, and I don't make you cut something off of him," or something like that is what he said.
Whoa.
And then, you know, there's a few times where Rick tries to like lock eyes with Daryl, and Daryl's kind of like, he keeps just looking down. And Rick near the end tries to like, you know, he asks, can Daryl stay here? And Negan says no, but then he goes, you know what? Maybe Daryl can persuade my mind. How about it, Daryl? And he waits for Daryl to answer, and Daryl doesn't say anything.
Damn.
How much do you want to be spoiled?
You know what, man? Honestly, I want the knowledge because, look, you can't spoil it for me. I've read the books.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I know how this plays out. Like, I'm not surprised this season. You know, you're not going to do that much to throw me off at this point. You killed Abraham, and I kind of figured that was probably going to happen because, I mean, he was there and a part of the lineup when in the comics he wasn't. And obviously, like you said, things change. So, man, however you got to talk about this, fire away, bro.
So, when Negan gets there, he asked where that one chick is. She wasn't looking too good. How's she doing? And then Rick sort of like looks down, right? It said that she's gone. And Negan's like, no shit. Man, that sucks. And then they go over to like where they dug the graves, and they have a grave dug for her. And then Negan's like, man, this really sucks. I was going to ask her to come back with me. She was hot.
Dang.
And then he goes, know what you're thinking. Just beat her husband's brains in. Why she want to come back with me? You'd be surprised. Now to note, while they were at the little grave, Father Gabriel had fresh dirt on his pants, and he brushed it off. And then for the sneak peek for the next episode, it's revealed where she is.
Which we know.
Yeah, you can piece that together where she is, and really.
But how isn't Negan has control of the hilltop right now, right?
Yeah, but I mean, out of sight, out of mind, maybe. I mean, at least for now, keep her safe.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, question. Did Carl stow away?
You know what? I thought that was going to happen, and I got excited until I saw the scene for the next week, and he's having a conversation with Michonne, and then Enid. So it's like I don't think that he's stowing away yet.
Dang it.
I know.
Dude,
I was like I was
Like,
so excited.
Seriously, I genuinely hope that's one thing I was worried about with this season, with Daryl and all the rumors that maybe Daryl supplants the role of Carl in the books. I don't want that. I love Carl and Negan interacting. It's so much cooler because it's a kid and this dude, and this dude has mad respect for this kid, you know. And so I'm hoping that maybe Daryl gets out of this, you know, not obviously unscathed, but maybe that Carl does go try to do something about it on his own. Like, well, if my fucking dad's going to be given up like this, fuck that. I'll do it my fucking self. And he goes in guns a-blazing, and Negan's like, son of a bitch. Like, you're fucking ballsy, kid. Like, your dad doesn't even have that kind of nuts. Like, what the fuck, man? Are you sure you're his? And that's a play on, you know, Shane. And then, you know, fucking dude. I mean, then you set up that great interaction. Then maybe he goes, okay, I'm not going to hurt Carl. I understand that obviously Daryl must mean something to you guys. You can have them both back. Don't do this shit again. And this is kind of like the last straw before all out war starts to kind of start to unfold.
Now I've got a little bit of news. I've got two articles.
Sure.
One is that apparently a picture has leaked from later on, like in the season.
Okay.
So next year probably. Of Jeffrey Dean Morgan with what looks like to be a clean-shaven face.
Thank the heavens 7-Eleven.
He's finally shaved that shit. But she says that again in episode 4.
I need to shave this shit.
Somebody, one of his guys, found the camera that they filmed. That Deanna would film people with and interview them.
Oh yeah, they found
and
that.
Then they found that, and Negan turned it on, and there's Rick sitting there talking, right, from when he first got there. And then, of course, he's like, "Holy shit, is that you underneath all that man bush?" He goes, "Damn." He goes, "Now see, I wouldn't have fucked with that guy." Well, I can imagine he says that in the unedited Blu-ray.
Yeah.
He goes, "That guy looks like a badass," and then he goes and then he hits record again, and he goes to Rick. He goes, "You're not that guy anymore, are you?" Oh man. And then he goes, and then he like turn it off, and then he's like touching his own beard. He goes, "I gotta shave this shit," and then walks away. So it looks like we're getting the beard finally off. Apparently, the reason why the beard wasn't shaved before is because he was finishing up his other show when he got called in to do the last, his first appearance.
Yeah, I think I knew that, and then now they're just going to kind of hold on to it for a minute.
Well, because they wrote that into the script
Yeah.
about him shaving it, and kind of changed it up just a little bit. But the picture is him pointing his finger. He's like in the passenger seat of what looks like a military grade truck, like a cargo truck. And he definitely doesn't have a beard.
Sweet.
Now, apparently the episode names in synopsis is for synapsi. Is it just like synapsis? What's the plural of that? I don't know.
I think it's just synopsis.
Well, good then. Of 6, 7, and 8 have been revealed.
Okay. You want to run them down?
Sure. Episode 6 is titled Swear. And it reads, "Someone stumbles upon a brand new society, and this society is unlike anything seen before."
I don't have any clue where they could be headed.
I don't know either. There's according to the rumor mill, episode 6 will follow Tara and Heath as they carry out the Apocalypse's longest supply run, which began in season 6, and introduce a new batch of characters somewhere near a beach. Oceanside is immediate thought comic book fans, but that group is a ways off, according to the comics. So maybe when Michonne kind of went off and she was a pirate for a while.
Yeah.
Or like a fisherwoman.
Mm-hmm.
John the Fisherman. Apparently they were like, weren't there some places that they established some sort of trade with or something? Or
Yeah.
was that something that they kind of touched on?
Like I said, that's during the 2-year time jump, man. So are we starting to see that the time jump doesn't happen in the show?
Well, there's already been a time jump in the show. That's been like 6 months. Like after, was it 6 months or how many months was it after Carl lost his eye?
I think it was 6 months, like 5 or 6 months. Because it just like automatically fast forwards after that happens to everything's back to normal in Alexandria.
Yeah. But there's also the possibility of that being Rick discovering the kingdom. He will head out of Alexandria in the coming moments with an unspoken destination. Perhaps he will land at Ezekiel's kingdom first, and the first signs the plan to take Negan will surface. Episode 7 is entitled "Sing Me a Song."
You're the piano man?
It says the title says it all for fans of Kirkman's comics. While Carl did not get in the back of Negan's truck in episode 4, it would appear that he will land in the sanctuary sooner than later, given the events of the comics. Carl sneaks into the sanctuary, mows down a bunch of saviors with a machine gun. Negan forces them to remove his eye patch and sing a song for him. The twisted manipulation and iconic moment from the pages.
Oh, that's
the synopsis all but confirms the suspicions, and Sing Me a Song reads, a deeper look at the sanctuary and the world of the saviors. Members of Alexandria look for supplies. Episode 8 is called Heart Still Beating. And it reads, Negan's unwelcome visit to Alexandria continues as other members scavenge for supplies. Things quickly spin out of control.
Dang.
So, there's one thing that they kind of set up in episode 4.
Okay.
A certain person in Alexandria is not very happy with Rick and how he's been running things and how things have turned out.
Who?
I'll give you a hint. He doesn't have any guts.
Oh, Spencer. Oh, yes. Oh, they're doing it, Brando. They're giving me everything I wanted.
And so, in episode 8, it says Negan's unwelcome visit. Now, granted, it's not like he was very welcome the first time. But it seems like the second time is not going to be as friendly. And it seems like members scavenge for supplies, so Rick won't be there.
Dang.
That or he's still in the kingdom.
Oh, man, they're just setting it up so good. Also, that's another question. When are we going to see Carol and Morgan get back to Alexandria?
Well, if Rick does set off for the kingdom, he will find them there because they're still there. Well, Carol's kind of just outside of it, right?
Correct.
But
huh.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the remainder of the season. It's slowly moving along.
So,
and go ahead.
Episode 8's the halfway point.
Yes.
Damn. Man, this is crazy, actually. I can't believe we're seeing some of these things actually play out on the show. Some things that are bigger moments in the comics, they're actually kind of treating. Like, you think about, like, the Carl thing, and it's a big moment. But it's not like the biggest moment in the book. But they're treating it like it's a very important thing, and they're giving it its own episode, and it's it's building. And then you're gonna have the Spencer thing that happens in, I think that's Walking Dead like 111 maybe, or 112, or I think it's 107 actually. Happen, and they're treating that like it's a big thing, and I love it. They're not just ignoring these huge cornerstone moments in the book. Like, they're just going, yep, we're going to touch on that, and you're going to get to see it, and it's going to be awesome. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan killing it as Negan. The whole cast is killing it. You know what else is killing it, Brando? Do you have any idea what I'm about to talk about?
Nope.
Metallica.
No. Yeah, that's out of left field.
Totally out of left field. But, so let me tell you, I listened to the whole album yesterday. And I'm assuming you have too.
I listened to the whole thing. Because they made videos for every song.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I've watched every video except for "Spit Out the Bone," which we'll talk about that at the end of our little thing here. So mainly, what I want to say is, Brando, I didn't listen to the songs necessarily in album order. I do have the album now. I do love it. It's great. So while I didn't listen to them in order yesterday when I first heard it. My favorite video was for Murder One, the Lemmy tribute song. That video was fucking incredible. Like, they did such a great job. And I liked the Halo on Fire video. I thought was great.
Yeah, like the Fight Club type thing.
Yeah. Man Unkind is a weird song / video. Because, like, they're trying to be, like, some sort of, like, 80s black metal band.
Now, see, here's the thing with that, though. Mankind is definitely not a typical Metallica track. But, okay, so the video it's basically chronicling this, with this, young... Yeah, kind of like a black metal or, Merciful Fate type band. And when you listen to Mankind, I get Sabbath vibe. I get the Merciful Fate vibe. And I kind of feel like that is some of their influences shining through. And I'm not sure if they intended to do that or if they kind of like were trying to do a nod to it or whatnot, but it definitely ended up that way, and the video cements that idea. But, like, I can definitely see people not really digging this song if they're not into their Metallica's influences.
Man, I just want to say as a whole, like, I agree. Mankind is definitely a callback to Merciful Fate and to some Sabbath, and I do really enjoy that video. But, like, as a whole, man, I feel like this is like the second coming of Metallica. Like,
the album's badass, especially even more considering that, like, how old they are now. Like, it's been a minute since the last record. It's been 8 years since that record got released.
Yeah, it's been a long ass time.
And so, like, I think James and Kirk are 53. And Lars and Rob are 52.
Yeah.
So they're not spring chickens anymore,
They're getting better, though.
Well, it's funny because, not every single song on this album is like balls to the wall. I get multiple vibes from this record that you can sense from older stuff that they've done. Hardwired. I'm like, that's something off of Killer Ride. Very quick, very fast, very simple. And then you get like songs like Moth into Flame, Spit Out the Bone, that if you just change the guitar tone, it could be something off of Justice, or
All right.
Or even.
So I got to make a bold claim because you mentioned Spit Out the Bone.
What's that?
Maybe the best song written since Master of Puppets.
It's up there.
I mean, dude, it gave me the chills, legitimately. I was so utterly just blown away and impressed. Like, I was not expecting that from them, you know? And it's the last song on the album. Like, what?
Yeah. The video for that's really good too.
I actually did not see that video. It wasn't live when we were watching. We had to go and actually get the downloaded album and listen to it.
I mean, the video's kind of at times corny, but it's kind of like that B movie type thing. Some of these videos don't even have Metallica in them.
I know, and
Like,
that's the great thing, dude. Every video feels so different.
yeah, like the video for Confusion.
That's a fucked up song, by the way.
Yeah,
PTSD song.
yeah. I like that.
Oh, what's the song? I can't think. Was it Here for Revenge, maybe? With the wolf?
Think so.
I'm pretty sure that Dave Mustaine wrote that song.
Yeah.
Because if you close your eyes for a minute and just listen, it sounds like a Megadeth song until like the second half of the first solo. And then it goes literally from a Mustaine sounding solo into Kirk's solo. It's the weirdest thing. I was just like, wait a minute. Are you sure this is a Metallica song?
You're not the first person that I've seen. I've seen somebody else online say that this album has some Megadeth vibes to it. I think it's a really strong effort from them. I was very happy to see that the deluxe version does come with Lords of Summer, and it does come with the Ronnie Rising medley and the Maiden Heaven cover. Remember Tomorrow.
Yeah, didn't they also do the Dio tributes on there too?
Yeah, that's what I said. The Ronnie Rising medley.
Ronnie Rising, yeah, I could.
So those are on the third disc along with some live songs. So I actually haven't bought it yet. As per normal with me in my more modern days of music, I don't buy the album right away anymore. Even for bands I really love. Usually I can listen to it on Spotify before I can actually get somewhere where I can buy the record. And I mean, in this case, they did the video, so I'd already heard all the songs anyway. But I will be buying the record at some point. I also want to get all the Metallica records on vinyl and start collecting vinyl, because it's like I don't ever listen to CDs anymore. I don't know if the same thing is for you, but like even like in the car, I'm all Spotify or podcasts. Like I don't really listen to music that much in the car as much as I used to. And when I do, it's like, all right, let's throw something on real quick just for the ride. But for CDs, I don't put them on anywhere in my house. They just sit here. So it's like, if I'm going to listen to music at home, let's have it be the vinyl. Let's invest in a good vinyl setup.
There you go, Brando. Now you're speaking my language.
And so it's like, I can have my digital for the go. And then if I'm sitting here at home, let's have the fucking vinyl and have a big piece of artwork. It's like I want to get into that, and I want to start getting records that like, dude, you have like Hybrid Theory on vinyl? Yes, I do. But they are re-releasing all the Metallica records remastered on vinyl, and they have Kill and Ride out, and Master is done. They were going to put Master out with the Back to the Front book. But then, because they actually weren't sure if the new album, Hardwired to Self Destruct, was going to come out this year. They were like, it may or may not. It all depends on probably when they finished mastering the record, or, mixing and mastering, and then production, and then they wanted to do all those videos. So it was a pretty large scale thing to do, and I'm pretty sure I heard early next year, and then of course it started getting to the point of it was done. It's coming out in November. And Lars had said, I read an interview where he said if Hardwire was going to be next year, then Master was going to be this fall.
Oh.
But since since Hardwired was going to be out this year, they decided to sit on Master for a few months and let Hardwired kind of have its room to breathe, and then they'll release Master later.
I want to say I saw at like FYE they have like ultra deluxe editions of Kill and Ride.
Yeah,
That are like black box, fucking gorgeous, but they're expensive.
they're like $125 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It would be cool if I had the money, but I just I want to own the vinyls, and even if they're not the original old school ones, I just want to have.
Doesn't
I want to
matter,
have
dude.
I want to have a vinyl collection, and I want Metallica. I want Disturbed. I want Slipknot. I want Boston.
Boston,
I
fuck
want,
yeah. You should get dude Maiden. Like I've got the original Number of the Beast vinyl. Next time you're up, we should listen to it. It's mind blowing. It's so good. I mean, you obviously know the Number of the Beast album, but like to just hear it on vinyl in its original form,
yeah.
sick. I was gonna say, did you ever watch Stranger Things? Have we had that conversation?
No, I haven't watched it at all.
Damn it.
In fact, like the only show that I've been keeping up on is Walking Dead, and that's just a matter of logistics and time. A lot of times when we're getting ready to eat dinner and put him down, like I have to be in bed within 40 minutes. And it's like sometimes it's less than that. And so I do not want to invest myself in anything that late. As far as because for me, it's like once I get invested in something, I have to stay up and watch it. I have to finish the episode. I'm not the kind of guy as pause it, let's finish it tomorrow. That bugs me.
Me too.
And so it's like, so a lot of times anything that we're watching comes to a screeching halt. Like Walking Dead is a bit different. They're like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones are two shows that I'm, serial, like on like a serial basis. It's like every week without fail, I will sacrifice that just, and go to bed later. But it's like, man, sometimes that kills me like the next day because 4 o'clock comes pretty quick.
Yeah, and we all know how hard it is to watch a show with a small child in the house.
Well, here's the thing: is that
when they're awake, I mean.
Yeah, oh yeah. Trust me, subtitles are godsend. But like now for like Walking Dead, he's been out hopefully for a half hour to an hour. So we don't have that anymore. But we do have to have the volume down a little bit. But it's there. I have a long list of shows that I want to watch, and it's kind of as you said before. There's only so much time, and I have to divide that time and divvy that time up just right. Sometimes there are times where hey, we watched Star Trek Beyond, like last week, and that's all we did that night. Like we didn't do anything else because we had to make dinner. We had to, get laundry done. We had to take care of him. And then by the time we sat down to watch it, we were watching it for a while, and then we had to pause it, put him down, get dinner ready, finish dinner, and then finish the movie.
It's just, I was going to say something. My brain hurts. I don't know, man. It's just, there's too many good shows right now. Like, I'm still watching Gotham, and it just keeps getting better and better, and I'm just like, what is going on? But I want to keep talking Metallica here real quick. I want to get your overall, like, rating of this album. Like, if we were to give it out of 5 stars, I want to know how you feel. Uh-oh, did I lose you?
For a second, what was that last thing you said?
Oh, I just said, if you were to give out of 5 stars this album, what would you rate it?
Okay. I'm rating this early because I haven't even listened to the album all the way through. I've heard all the songs, but I think I'm about halfway through the record of an actual listen to. I'll tell you what, I'll give you early review, and maybe we'll touch back on it in a few weeks once I've had some time to kind of sit on it.
Okay.
Because it's, as I was saying before, there's stuff that kind of go all over the place. I definitely feel, I felt some Reload vibes in a couple spots. I don't know if you felt that.
Well, yes, I felt. It's really weird that you say that, because I was going to say, I feel like the entire album has like a little touch from each era of Metallica. Like there's a little bit of Puppets, there's a little bit of Justice, there's a little bit of the Black Album, there's a little bit of Load and Reload, there's a little bit of Kill 'Em All. It just kind of floats all over the place. There is a little bit of Death Magnetic, there is a little bit of Saint Anger in those songs. Not to say that they are. It's just like it's like they figured out all their ideas that they weren't 100% with, and they refined them and said, these are the ideas we really like. And I know that Metallica has said they will not wait 8 years to make another album. They might start cranking albums out once every 2 years now.
That'd be nice.
They're on a roll, and they've got a lot of great ideas going.
That'd be nice. I definitely want to go see them when they tour. I'm struggling to give this thing a rating, because I don't think it's a 5. I think there are definitely some tracks on here that you can miss. I wasn't too impressed with Am I Savage?
Yeah, that song is not ultra memorable.
I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Time to go to Spotify. Time to load up Spotify. Time to turn my phone down. I don't actually start playing music.
Copyright.
Yeah. So Here Comes Revenge, Mankind. Honestly, I think it was those two songs. Because
Am I Savage and which one?
And Here Comes Revenge. Those two songs are the two songs out of the bunch that when I first heard Halo on Fire, it didn't do much for me until it gets to a certain point in the middle. Like it gets to like a jam section, and then that changed the song for me. I'm not sure if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. That I kind of thought that, and maybe this is just going to sound really bizarre, I think Hardwired is like the least good track on that album.
I love Hardwired. I think it's just a nice, good punch in the face, and especially since out of all of them, it's the most focused. And
I'll agree with that.
I think if I could say a bad thing about the record, it's the same thing that has kind of plagued Metallica for the last 3 records. That's what Saint Anger, Death Magnetic, and this one. Is I kind of feel like they're trying to stuff too much into a song sometimes. I'm not saying that it's always a bad thing, because, I mean, there aren't a whole lot of bad riffs, but then you'll be listening to a song and all of a sudden hey, there's a riff they've never played before in the song, and it's just a little jam section.
For like 2 seconds.
Well, that, or sometimes 2 minutes, and then they get back into the song. Or that riff that they only play that one time leads to the solo riff, which then leads back into the chorus, And I just kind of feel like sometimes they lack the ability to edit themselves, or like maybe they need and it's weird because he did Saint Anger, but maybe they need like a Bob Rock in there to kind of keep them focused sometimes.
I called him Bob Ross yesterday. I didn't mean to. Those are just some happy little bass notes.
What was it, Bob Sock?
Yeah, Bob Sock. Yeah, that's
Bob Sock. Metalcast 2. I'm gonna give this an early review of 4.25.
I don't
Before and
I don't like how good you are in my brain. I've been sitting here going, this album's a solid 4.2, and you're like 4.25.
I'm gonna give it a 4.25. That may change. It may go up. It may go down. I don't think it's gonna go down too much because I really do enjoy this record. I'm not as surprised as I was with Death Magnetic. Put it that way. You know, I was fearing Death Magnetic and excited at the same time, right?
Okay.
Because like when you knew the new album was coming and they had just done Saint Anger, and me and you have talked about Saint Anger before. You are a Saint Anger apologist, and
Well,
and I respect and can enjoy Saint Anger. It's not one of my favorite albums from them. I can put it on, but I just can't randomly throw it on. It's like I got to be in the mood for it, and it's not like their other records. I just can't throw it on.
and I think I've always said Saint Anger is one of those like it's a great album, but it's not a great Metallica album.
Yeah,
Like it's good. It's good, but you can't in your head know that it's like you almost have to tell yourself like I'm listening to a totally different band. Because in that style, it is a totally different band. You know, it's not anything like anything Metallica had done before, you know?
yeah. When I remember the day that Never Comes came out, I was at work, and I think I was looking at my phone at work, really smartphone, and I was able to get on the web, and I saw a news headline saying Metallica releases new video, and I'm like, oh! And I went right home, got on YouTube, pulled it up, and sat there and watched that video and listened to that song and fell in love with the band all over again. And I was so excited that I can't remember what internet radio show they were on, but I think it was James and Rob were on some show where they played 3 more Metallica songs. They played The Day That Never Comes, and they played 3 more. I think they played Judas Kiss, My Apocalypse, and I don't remember the other one. But I just remember like I remember when they were introducing My Apocalypse, James said, my friend Paco's lips.
Did you see them on Fallon?
You know what? I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Oftentimes if I'm at work and videos get shared to me, they don't load, and then I'm like, I'll watch it later, and then I forget all about it. So no, I haven't watched the Fallon video yet, but I intend to. To finish up my thought real quick before we move on, when I say that it didn't surprise me, I mean, look, because you remember like back in August where they out of the blue just dropped Hardwired, and you click on it and instantly it just it's into the chug riff, and it like, okay, here we go. You're right. It was like, I didn't even have time to be nervous about what it was going to sound like. It was like, holy crap, it's here. And I clicked the link and it started playing. And so after hearing that song and then hearing Moth and then Atlas Rise, I sort of knew what we were going to get. And actually, I was sort of wrong too, because the album ends up being more rounded than that. I said I sensed more Reload stuff on there, kind of more straight up rock riffs and melodies. And there are those in some of those songs. Dream No More. That's it. First time I heard him singing the chorus for that, I'm like, this sounds like Reload something, it's straight up rock. And then same with kind of Confusion, but thinking that song kind of goes off in its own different kind of thing. And then, Halo on Fire. So I wasn't nervous about it after hearing Hardwired. I was anticipating it. And then of course they did a really cool thing with the videos, and I got to slowly kind of watch them as the last couple of days have gone by. and now the album's out, and now they need to come to Indianapolis.
We must see them perform.
They are like, out of my must-see bands, like, they are like probably one of the last ones on the list that I got to see before they die or I die.
Last on the list for me. Easy.
Um,
Seen everything else I wanted to ever see, musically speaking.
Pretty much, I guess I could say the same thing. There's not too many.
Well, okay,
bands.
Maiden. Maiden would be the one, but I
I
digress.
forgot you haven't seen Maiden.
Mm-mm.
I totally forgot about that. Maiden was amazing.
I'm fucking sure they were.
So far, I think they're the best band I've ever seen live.
That's awesome.
Out of everybody, and I mean, they're not even like my number one band or my number two, but I think as far as like an actual live performance, there's nothing like Iron Maiden. And Sabbath was great. All the other bands that I've seen, I don't think I've ever been to a straight up bad show other than like early concerts. Because I did see Good Charlotte and Simple Plan once.
That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, bad shows. I don't really, other than like kind of local shows, I don't really have a bad concert experience. Even bad concerts have been pretty cool for certain reasons. I will say I saw the Dresden Dolls once, and I suffered like the worst migraine I've ever had in my life. It crippled me, and I had to leave the concert a little bit early. So
that sucks.
Yeah, well, migraines suck. The end. That's life. That's how I'm living it. But do we have anything else on Metallica, Brando? I would say, like I said, 4.2. You said 4.25. You got anything else other than that to talk about today?
I don't know. I mean, we were gonna, try and read the Thanos #1, but we just ran out of time. We didn't get to it.
We did not get to it. Maybe we will before the next podcast. But I know we're talking about doing a couple cool podcasts here soon, so check those out. I don't think I have anything else, Brando.
There's a new Joe Obama meme.
Oh, those are great, by the way.
Sweeping the internet. He's Joe Biden is wearing one of the Yu-Gi-Oh card wristband things, and Biden says, "I'm going to challenge him to a duel." Obama says, "Joe, stop." And Biden says, "He can't rule America from the Shadow Realm."
Ugh. Gross. Okay, I don't want to talk politics because it's already dividing our country enough, and people who know me know where I stand, and they know where I'm standing. So that's all I got there. Brando, it was a pretty awesome episode 115. A lot of coverage on The Walking Dead today.
A little bit of the and a little small metal cast segment.
Yeah, micro metal cast. Favorite track off the new album? Go.
New one. Oh shit. Honestly, if I had to pick one right now, I mean, instantly Spit Out the Bone. But if I'm gonna throw you for a completely left turn,
Okay.
I'm really digging Dream No More.
That was a bizarre video.
It was, but I'm really digging the chunkiness. It's like a mixture of Harvester of Sorrow in some ways, and then Reload, not me. Is that Bad Seed I'm thinking of, or no, not that song. Carpe Diem Baby in some ways, and it's such a weird song that it's a slower tempo, and it just when they go slow and chunky, man, I just really like Sabbath, True, Harvester, Minus Human. I like that just as much as I like the thrash.
I still like Moth into Flame. I think it's my favorite track. Just gets in there.
Moth into Flame is great. It's fantastic.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week of Journey into Comics, dude. Journey into kind of comics and some metal.
Yeah, Journey into kind of comics.
Kind of comics and some metal, yeah. All right. Well, as always, you guys know where to check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play Music. That's pretty much all the places that we are. But as always, I'm Nate.
I'm Brando.
Thank you guys for listening to episode 115. We really enjoyed talking today, I think. Later.